The term conservation comes from two Latin words, servare, which means to keep or to guard, and con, which means together. People have practiced some kinds of conservation from hundreds of years. Conservationists are also called environmentalists. The earth has a limited supply of many natural resources. Overuse of these resources keeps on increasing. Conservationists work to ensure that the environment can continue to provide resources for human needs. It does not mean that we have to stop the use of these resources completely. Wise use of natural resources with an aim to preserve and protect them is called conservation. Without conservation, most of the Earth's resources would be wasted, degraded, or destroyed. Aims of conservation: 1. To conserve and to maintain the habitats of plants and animals and prevent their extinction and damage to the food chain. 2. To reduce the stress on resources and rapid depletion of resources through conservation of the environment. The environmentalists, being aware of the importance of forest, are constantly conserving the forest. This will conserve all the plants, animals, and microorganisms. Forest, being renewable resource, will continue supply of useful plants and animals if used properly. Biodiversity: all forms of life existing on the earth, that is plants, animals, and microorganisms, come under the heading biodiversity. This variety of life forms includes flora, fauna, and microorganism. In India, about 1/5 of the area is under forest cover with immense wealth of wildlife. The habitats they live in vary from high mountains to deep oceans and deserts. These different ecosystems are a part of the global ecosystem. Maximum biodiversity occurs in the forest. Significance of biodiversity lies in the fact that plants and animals are sources of food, medicines, timber, milk, honey, silk, and a large number of other useful products. Forest is a complex biological system. It is essential to protect forest and to conserve air, water, and land. Forests are important to us because they check soil erosion, provide raw material for making paper, control climatic conditions, prevent foods, help in maintaining the CO2 and O2 balance in the air, provide wood for making houses and make furnitures, provide food and medicines, provide home and food to wildlife. Conservation of forest. Forest conservation can be achieved when the habitats of wild animals are conserved. The methods of forest conservation are prevention of 1. Cutting trees. Cutting of trees for agricultural purpose results in loss of habitats of plants and animals. Replanting of trees in a forest is very important part of conservation. In order to conserve forest, the prevention of cutting down of trees is essential. 2. Excessive grazing. The increasing population of domestic animals has led to overgrazing, which must be controlled to save forest. 3. Poisoning of biodiversity. Avoiding disposal of waste from cities, agricultural fields, and industries into forest. Habitat destruction takes place by large-scale man-made alteration such as mining, construction of dams, industries, etc. It should be minimized. A forest fire have destroyed many forests. Care should be taken to prevent forest fires, which are very destructive by making fire lines in forest at regular intervals and gaps. Campfires should not be left smoldering. Conservation of wildlife. Due to destruction of habitats, wildlife has main threat. The construction of industries, houses, dams has left fewer areas where animals can breed, nest, and feed. Preventing deforestation is an important method of habitat preservation. Planting new forest provides shelter and food for wildlife. By creating wildlife sanctuaries, we can protect natural habitat. Habitat can be preserved by preventing deforestation. Planting trees, afforestation to create new forest which provide shelter and food for wildlife, can also protect natural habitat of animals by creating wildlife sanctuaries. Endemic species. Endemic species are species found in a particular area only. They are naturally not found anywhere else. Endangered species. These includes the species which are diminishing to the level of danger of extinction, like Asian lion, rhinoceros, blue whale. Extinct species. The species of plants and animals which have already been lost are called extinct species. Example, cheetah and dodo are extinct animals. Brahmkamal and Sarpagandha are extinct plants. Threatened species. Species belonging to endangered and rare species are classified as threatened species. Large number of wildlife sanctuaries are present in India. National parks are protected areas set aside by government for the preservation of wildlife. Currently, India has 90 national parks and 488 sanctuaries. Visitors are allowed to travel only within a limited area of the park. By this, they can see conservation to be effective. The active support of the government is needed. There are many governmental and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, working to protect, preserve, and conserve the environment. Some important international NGOs with branches in India are the World Wide Fund for Nature, WWF, and the International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, IUCN, now called the World Conservation Union, WCU, work for wildlife conservation. IUCN has published the Red Data Book with a list of threatened species of world. This is done to light those species which are threatened with extinction with the aim of promoting their conservation. The IUCN maintains a red list, which is a compilation of endangered wildlife species, and a red data book, which provides data on population status of species included in red list. The red data book species are classified into critically endangered and vulnerable. The red data book is revised periodically. A green book gives a list of endangered plants growing in protected area. Some Indian NGOs working for the good cause of environment are Center for Science and Environment, CSE, Delhi, Bombay Natural History Society, the Energy and Resource Institute, TERI, Delhi. All countries have laws to protect and safeguard the environment. Our government has the environment laws. The Environment Protection Act 1986, the Forest Conservation Act 1980, the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Strict laws have to be implemented to regulate hunting of animals that are endangered. The hunting of tiger is banned in India since 1973. Elephants and rhinoceros are killed for ivory and horns, bears and fox for furs, tiger for skin. Though the trading of ivory, fur, skin is banned, but poaching will still go on as the buyers are ready to buy. Proper management should be developed for preservation of animals as well as controlled killing of endangered species. Some biosphere reserves, national parks, and wildlife sanctuaries in the country. The Indian wildlife has been protected in 90 national parks, 488 wildlife sanctuaries, and 14 biosphere reserves. National parks. These are areas strictly reserved for conservation of wildlife, include flora and fauna both. No other activities are permitted. Wildlife sanctuary. A sanctuary gives protection to fauna only. Here, killing or capturing of any species of wild animals is prohibited. Harvesting of timber and collection of minor forest products are permitted. Zoological Park. A park or an enclosure in which animals are kept for public exhibition. Botanical Garden. A garden where we can conserve rare and threatened plants. Biosphere Reserves. These are protected areas wherein people are an important component of the system. These are multi-purpose protected areas being developed to 1. Conserve biodiversity, 2. Preserve ecological balance and promote conservation. See the table. Protected areas and what they are famous for. Project Tiger. Project Tiger is an Indian success story of how tigers were saved from extinction by the efforts of the Government of India and various international organizations. Project Tiger was launched in 1973 and various tiger reserves were created all over the country. Now, there are 27 tiger reserves in 14 different states. Migration. The seasonal movement of animals from one habitat to another is called migration. Species like birds, marine fish, insects migrate to a place of favorable condition for a certain period of time, then travel back to their natural habitat. Birds migration. Birds migrate from one place to another by traveling thousands of kilometers for the following reasons: to escape the cold, unfavorable condition, to reproduce in favorable condition of temperature and food, waste to improve the environment, dispose the waste after separating them into biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste material, recycle the waste food and other biodegradable materials. Old batteries and used tires should be recycled or safely disposed. Don't burn any waste, especially plastics, as the smoke may contain polluting gases. Reuse carrier bags. Walk or cycle where it is safe to do so. Walking and cycling can help to keep you fit and save fuel. Use a carpool for everyday travel. Avoid unnecessary or wasteful packaging of products. Celebrate World Environment Day on 5th June every year.